the level of owning that I have a choice about who to fall in love with. You know, because we get taught about love in this culture like it's this like camouflaged hole in the sidewalk we fill in. You know, I can't help it, I love him. You know, I can't help it, I love her. You know, and you know, when I used to work in treatment centers, and we'd have somebody come in complaining about their spouse that was so awful, I say, well, why do you stay? Oh, I just love him. You know, I said, no, what's the real reason? You know, because the real reason always had to do with fear. It didn't have to do with love. You know, because we use love as an excuse. But so I was really important to own that there's a choice involved in who we fall in love with. Far enough along to realize if I met somebody that felt like my soulmate, I better watch out. You know? And one day on April 1st, which as some people call April Fool's Day, I met a woman that felt like my soulmate. And I was just walking down the street from my house, and she came out of this other house, and we ended up walking together into this meadow where I'd like to go, and we talked for like hours. And it was just like, I got back home that night, I said, this person feels like my soulmate. She just feels like it. It's too familiar. There's something wrong here. I need to pay attention, because what happens is we have this like desperately needy, desperately lonely age of the inner child that wants the relationship so bad that we ignore all the red lights and warning signs, and we focus on the good parts and ignore all the bad parts. And then, 2 years later or 20 years later, we say, I knew back then it wasn't going to work, And so I needed to pay attention and realize, okay, this person is probably unfamiliar, unavailable in my familiar pattern. But what I don't want to run away, because that's just going to the other extreme. So what I did is I said, I'm going to choose to explore this connection with her, but I'm going to do it differently this time, and I'm going to take responsibility for my choices and for my feelings. And I'm not going to let myself go to that place where I'm all a victim of her not realizing how wonderful I could be for her, and putting all that energy into trying to change her to get it. I used to actually write down the conversations. I'm going to say this and this and this, and then she's going to say this, and I'm going to say this and this, and I'm going to say, and then she's going to get it, and all of a sudden she's going to realize how wonderful I could be for her, and it didn't work because the other person never had the same script I had. But what I did, was really wonderful time to explore a relationship in the middle ground instead of running away, or except one of the ways I've described it is like if love is a swimming pool over here. I either kept my back to it and pretended like I didn't want to go swimming, or else I jumped in the deep end without looking to see if there's any water.